Welcome, AP Psychology students. Mr. Dal here. Just want to take some time and give a crash course of the syllabus. So buckle up. It's going to be fun. So just going to go through the highlights here with you. Obviously, my name is Jesse Dowell. You can see my email there. Times I'm available. Mornings are tough for me with 3 kids. I'm trying to get them ready for school and stuff. So I do better after school. So 3 to 3:45 most days after school. Wednesday we have meetings, so that can be kind of tough, but after school is a little bit better. Course length, this is a year-long class. Sorry. So you might double check to see that you are signed up for both semesters. Sometimes people are not, and then they're like, oh shoot, I need to do that. So it is a year-long class. Course objectives, a couple I will pick out. I know that not everybody takes the AP test because it's a dual credit course, but we still design the course with the idea that if you needed to take the AP test, you would crush it. So we want to be able to do acceptable work on the test, and those that take the test generally do very well. We want to learn the basic principles of psychological research. We want to know the major psychological terminology that you would learn in an intro college psych course. We want to be able to apply it to our own lives. That is big. Probably my biggest goal that's not on the page here is that when your parents come to me this spring for conferences, they complain because their student is psychoanalyzing them with all the terms we've learned in class. So in all seriousness though, that you're able to kind of use this information when you leave the room. It's not just you learn it in class and then you forget it. And we're going to try to have fun. Learning is important, but I think people learn better and more when they're having a little bit of fun. So that's one of my core beliefs as a teacher. Course characteristics, again, it is a college course, so it might be a little quicker pace than what some of you are used to. I assign 20 to 30 pages or so of textbook reading per week. Not everybody always does that, but if you're someone who looks to do really well in the course, you should be aware of those reading assignments. Try to do as many as you can. This class is all about kind of finding your level and how much do I need to do to be successful, and that's going to be different for each person. And so I think one thing I would just say quickly is don't compare yourself to other people. There's going to be friends of yours that are like, oh, I don't have to read everything and I still get the grade that I want, and you might have to, and you can't compare yourself to other people. You have to do what you need to do to meet your goals for the class. Class time is important, attendance. Obviously attendance is important in all classes, but it's very easy to fall behind in a class like this when you're not here and you're missing stuff, so try to be here. We can talk about that more later. Other things, this page just kind of talks about how I use some flipped and blended teaching strategies. The big idea here is that sometimes I might have us in class like watch a video of me teaching something, and so you might watch that instead of sitting and having me talk at the front of the room. And I might do that so I can work with students who maybe were behind or missed class or whatever. And it's not something I do all the time, but sometimes it allows us to kind of do stations or whatever. So I do use a lot of online stuff to try to maximize what we get done in class. The one thing about that kind of teaching is if you're given an assignment like, hey, watch this video, or hey, do this thing online, you do have to have the self-discipline to actually do it. So just be aware of that. And my lights went out. Grading policy, standard, 90, 80, 70, 60, pretty straightforward. One thing to remember is that this is a DMAT course as well. You get the dual credit, and they have pluses and minuses. And we'll talk more about that later, but just know that, like a 91% is an A here at Johnston High School, but a 91 would be an A- at DMAC. So just be aware of that. Do I round grades? Everybody likes to know that. Generally speaking, If you're within 0.5%, that is when I will round grade. So if you're close, 0.5, that's where usually we'll round. What kind of things will we grade? The biggest portion of the grade is going to be exams. So I do model the exams on what the AP test looks like. So we'll have, big chunk of that is going to be multiple choice questions. Again, these are going to be a little bit different than maybe what some people are used to with multiple choice. It's not going to be, who was the, president of the United States, George Washington, Skittles, M&Ms, or ice cream. Like, these are challenging questions at times. So the rigor is a little bit higher than what you've maybe had in other social studies courses. So we'll have some multiple choice, probably looking at a test roughly every 3 weeks or so. 50 or so questions when we do. Again, it's going to depend on the unit. So expect to have about 5 or 6 of those over the course of the semester. And then we'll also have free response or written exams as well. We'll talk about the format of those as we get closer to those. Generally, early in the year, people don't like those as much, but you won't believe me, but later in the year, people get to the point where they prefer the free response because there's a little bit more flexibility. There's not just one answer. And so you might not think this after the first one that we do, but by March, April, May, people are like, oh yes, let's do a free response question. Quizzes. We do a lot of quizzes in here. They're generally practice quizzes, so they're not usually graded, although I might grade them from time to time, but generally speaking, they're ungraded. They're going to be short. We'll do these pretty much after every lesson, which doesn't mean every day, just like if a lesson could take 1 day, it could take 2 to 3, but we'll do a lesson quiz at the end. How did we do? What do we know? What do we not know? What do we need to go back over? It's very much a way for us to kind of measure our progress. And really, again, it's all about preparing us for the exam at the end of the unit. Discussion forums, everybody's favorite. We do a couple of these, maybe here it says 4 or 5. It depends on the semester. Roughly anywhere from 3 to 5 in a semester. Try not to overdo these because people do get burnout on them, but I do like them because when we're having class discussions, which we'll have normal class discussions too, sometimes it falls on like 2 or 3 people, and I feel like I'm having a conversation with 2 or 3 people while 27 people are, just chilling or checked out or whatever. So it does allow everybody to get an equal chance to participate. Sometimes you get to hear from people that are more of the quiet types, but a lot of times introverts who are a little bit quiet are some of the best writers. And so it gives us a chance to hear from everybody. So I really do like those, even if they're not always students' favorite. But I will try not to overdo them. Projects, I'm not going to read a big long list of projects, but you can kind of scan through those a little bit. It depends on the year which ones we get to. One that we will definitely do this semester is you will get a chance to design your own research study. It could be an experiment, it could be a survey, correlation study, whatever, and you'll actually run it and then briefly, informally present those findings to the class and what did you find. And don't stress about this. Like, this is fun. Yeah, it'll be a fun thing. You'll like it. Homework, there's not a lot of like worksheet type homework, like, hey, do this worksheet and fill out these blanks or whatever. A lot of the work outside of class is just keeping up with the reading, or hey, maybe do a little review over what we went over today, and just practice the vocabulary, those kind of things. I would say, and I've given surveys to students at the end of the year once they're gone and they no longer care what I think and it's anonymous. And they generally tell me, 15 to 20 minutes per night is what most students do. Some do less, some do none, some do more, but 15 minutes or so is kind of the sweet spot. So that's kind of what to expect. You can see here, we do have a final exam. Don't freak out about that. We'll talk more about that as we, get closer, but it'll be a comprehensive exam over the first semester, and then second semester, end of spring, it'll be over the entire year. A lot of that is to simulate what the AP exam would look like. And I know that everybody's going to take the AP exam, but we still want to prepare as if we needed to take it, we would be able to, and we would do well on it. This is just talking about the behavior rubric at Johnston High School. You've probably heard of this before. If not, I'm not going to spend much time on it right now. We can talk more about it later. Technology, cell phones. The one thing I would just say here is, I'm not expecting people to never, ever, ever pick up their phone or whatever, but try to limit use as much as you can. It really does impact your ability to focus, and you do miss things when you're on your phone, and a lot of people don't believe that, but there are psychological studies that suggest otherwise. You do miss information, and it does actually tend to correlate with, if not cause, lower performance in classes. So we'll talk more about that, but we're going to try to at least limit our use of phones. I'm not one that's going to pick up your phone and read all your texts and embarrass you, but I will encourage you to limit those uses. Retakes, good news, again, you can retake anything for full credit. And this is a policy that's like district-wide, building-wide. You'll have 2 weeks from the date you receive your test back to do a reassessment. So that might be different for some of you, from last year, 2 years ago, but that's kind of a building policy now. And then, we can talk about when I'm available to do that. Respect, toleration, we'll talk more about this again, but we live in very polarizing times, and we just want to make sure that we respect other people's opinions. And I don't want to go off on a big diatribe on that, but there's going to be some things that we disagree on, and that's okay, as long as we respect other people and we're not saying hurtful things, we're not, being disrespectful. If and when that time comes, we'll address that. And then the rest of this is just tips for doing well. This is pretty straightforward stuff, taking notes. And I would just say, for students that struggle early on, don't hesitate to come in and get help early. A lot of times students work really hard, like they're putting in the time, but they just need better study strategies. And the good news is the first topic we're going to learn about this year are study strategies. What are some good strategies? And I don't know about you, but when I was your age, I was a pretty good student. I got good grades, but I didn't feel like I knew how to study. And so we're going to give you some tips that are research-based, based on psychological principles to help you learn information and retain information. And then finally, again, this is just boilerplate syllabus stuff here. Don't cheat, don't plagiarize, etc. Here's the book. And then there's a course outline. If you want to look that over, feel free to look that over. There's nothing like that going to be on your syllabus quiz. So again, there is a syllabus quiz over this. We'll go over it briefly in class, but if you missed it, or if you're joining the class late, or you just weren't mentally or physically present when we went over it, or whatever, this is your crash course of the syllabus before you take that syllabus quiz. So thanks for listening. I'm excited to start the year, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.